opened up this meeting the other day. Okay.
Somebody order a dozen cases of fizzy apple cider. Can you bring in the rest?
People arrive. Thank you so much for being here. It's so great to have everyone. I'm just learning something new about my computer. There we go. Okay. Wow, there's so many functionality things on Zoom. I'm learning every day. I'm sure all of us are learning lots of online interesting things. So welcome. Thank you for being here. I'm Ashley Sargent, and this is Meg.
Hi.
And
Meg.
and so just a little bit of housekeeping and just kind of how we're going to run this call and these future calls. We plan to be doing these weekly, and they're going to evolve into a little bit more of like a talk show where we have guests soon. And so we are going to have a bunch of people on the call. And in order to keep bandwidth really clear for everyone, we're going to ask that everyone put their camera off. Meg and I will have our cameras on. And then we are going to mute everyone. And you can see if you're newer to Zoom, you can click down in the chat area on the bottom of your screen, and it'll pop up a little area where you can chat to the group. A lot of people are introducing themselves and saying where you're here from. We have people from all over the world, which is super sweet. And if you have any questions, we'll probably open to some questions at the end like we did last week. And you can put some things in there. Also see who else is here, which is really sweet. And we are going to be recording this call and the rest of the calls that we do like this. We will be uploading them all to YouTube, and then they will be available on the Experience Alaya YouTube channel. For those of you who have come from a different channel than Experience Alaya, Meg and I together have founded a yoga community that used to be called Alaya Yoga School, where we started as primarily a yoga school, and now we've evolved and are continuing to evolve more into a wider community. And so we are now called Experience Alaya, for all of the amazing experiences we get to share with one another. Alaya means the unfolding of the human spirit. And so our kind of mission and our goal and our work together and with all of you is to support each and every one of us and everyone in the world in the authentic, direct experience of connecting with yourself as a way to unfold and awaken to the full potential of your human spirit. And hi, we got people from Australia and Mexico and Costa Rica and Colorado and London. This is exciting. So welcome to the community. Welcome to the group. If you have been with us, we have a lot of people here who have also been studying with us and know one another for many years. And it's super great to welcome new people in all the time. So thank you for being here. I think it's good to go now. Yeah, we're 5 minutes after. People can still keep coming in as they wish. I'd like to begin, we'll start meditating just in a couple moments, but just to hone in where we are in this call is where are we in this world right now? As we sent out in our invitation, Meg and I have been, really talking and connecting and tuning into, I'm sure we're all feeling this, so many things arising during this time. And from this glorification of busy, which I had a bunch of you write to me about specifically today and last night after my newsletter, this invitation that we're having to really slow down or being forced to slow down, and what's coming up in some of our resistance to that, this real need that we have created in our society to feel busy and that we're doing something and accomplishing something, and that we are standing for something, and we are somehow important in order to be able to feel good about ourselves, and how this really is another way, and it's just going to get magnified to us even more right now, that what actually happens and what resistance, I know I'm feeling, Meg and I have talked about this, we're seeing it go on in our world with this just like rebellion around staying home. You know, what our resistance is to actually just being, you know, and why do we need to feel that we are, if we're not running around doing something or running around in our house, like Meg mentioned, bouncing off the walls, doing something or saying something or creating something, why is it that we don't feel of value? You know, it's feeding into, as Meg talks a lot about, this false perception that somehow we're not enough, and if we aren't doing whatever, then what are we actually here for, you know? And we'll talk more about our practice of stepping out of this hyper individualism, this need to be, and we're seeing our interconnection more than ever right now, and this dissolution of individualism and this over identification with it is breaking down. And how to handle that and work with that within ourselves, how to support others, and how to find a balanced relationship within your own self between letting go of this hyper individuality and like self-importance, knowing this is not about us right now, and also finding a way to be, you know, in service and offer your unique offerings. So let's not talk about it anymore for now. Let's just be in silence together. So I invite you to find a comfortable seat. If you are doing something else, if you have the ability to be here fully, I invite you to do that. If you don't completely, that's okay. You can allow a part of yourself to attune to this. But if you do have the capacity to be fully here, I think this is one of the greatest things that our being is collectively longing for right now, which is just to be here fully in this moment with ourselves, with one another, with the state of the world. To just be here with the fears, with the frustrations, with the confusion, with the hope, with the pain. And also with this recognition of the simultaneously heartbreaking and heart-opening sense of interconnection. We don't need to be on our screens reading things and writing things and talking to be connected. So beautiful. Let's do those things too. Let's reach out to one another. But we don't need those things to be connected. And most importantly, in order to be connected with one another in a way that is of truth, in alignment with truth, it requires being in connection with self, just here with all of it. Let your palms rest either face up or face down on your thighs, or if you have a mudra, you want to place them in your lap. I've been meditating just instinctively. My hand goes to my heart as of late in my practice. Whatever feels right for you. And as you inhale, feel your hips drop down into the earth. And as you exhale, your spine rise up from the root all the way through the crown. As you inhale, imagine yourself growing roots down into the earth beneath you. And as you exhale, feel the crown of your head reach and rise just slightly towards the sky. And then sense the whole sphere kind of connecting those 2 points, your little personal bubble, your energetic field around you. And to stay aware of that space, you just gently keep extending tail and crown softly away from one another. With every exhalation now, have the sense that you are softening and relaxing your effort. With every exhale, comforting the mind, acknowledging that there's nowhere to go in this moment, nowhere to be, nothing to do. But to be present with all that is here, present for you. No need to push any of it away. No need to change any of it. And just notice with every exhale, if you begin to sense any places in your body that you feel yourself holding or gripping. Can you just invite that space to let go? It's likely there's more tension or more holding than you might be used to. As we know, we're not just holding what we hold for ourselves, but we're also experiencing the weight of this world, the weight of humanity, the weight of our choices. So every time the mind begins to wander back out into doing, little things from the outside world pop back into your little sphere. Just invite yourself back to the rhythm of breath, reminding there's nowhere to be, nothing to do. You have no obligations in this moment, but to be fully here. And feel the part of yourself that's just longing for that so completely. To just be. Just be still, quiet. And the other 50 people here around the world, and the billions of people around the world longing for the same thing. With every exhale, and dropping a little bit more completely into this quiet space within yourself. It's as close as a breath, closer. Keep letting your body be a reflection of this presence. By noticing any part of yourself that is gripping or actioning towards somewhere else, and see if you can just invite all those parts of you to be right here. Feel into the texture of this space, the quality of this presence. It's in this space that we remember by a sense of direct experience that we are one, that we are whole. We are not separate. And this is the truth. And the more we strengthen our connection to this wholeness, this truth, the more we help to strengthen that remembrance of all beings and all things. As we begin to deepen our breath, let's let every exhale, we ask that this time together be in service, healing of all beings and all things everywhere. May all beings be free from pain and suffering. May all beings everywhere awaken to the truth of love and oneness. Just feel the reverberation of that out into everywhere. As you allow your breath to deepen, begin to slowly let your eyes open. Just even with your eyes open, allowing your awareness to stay gently rested into the heart space. Pass it over to Meg. Meg, I'll pass it over to you. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
I can.
Okay.
Thank you so much for that beautiful intro and amazing meditation. I feel like these kinds of connections are more profound than anything that I might be able to say, or anything that any of us could really be able to say. To be able to sit in silence together and to be with one another is perhaps one of the greatest gifts that we can receive, and also that we can give. As Ashley was speaking and leading us through the meditation, with this real sense of, we talk about it a lot, of a relaxing of the personal will, that wants to do all of the things that Ashley was talking about, that wants to get out there and get online and do all of the things and keep running around town and make the house shine from top to bottom, and just do more and more and more, never enough to somehow validate or prove that we are enough. And as that softens in the face of open, loving presence, how this capacity for, it's not even just a capacity, but this longing for quietness, this longing for silence, this longing for simple being is what is there. This longing for true, simple presence is what's there. And, the invitation to really listen. And I think that's what, I'd like to highlight right now, is that, when we can soften our personal will and release that kind of effort and struggle and become just really present with pure being, we open ourselves up to listen well to the part of us that doesn't feel like it's enough, that wants to fix and change, improve and judge so that it can belong somewhere. That's a perfectly human trait, but we can really listen well to that. We can listen well to that not only in ourselves, but when somebody else is speaking or trying or efforting or whatever, we have the capacity to receive that too, and understand needs at a deeper level, because we can listen more completely to one another. Right now, we have this capacity to be and to listen well. Like right now, I think about, when Ashley was talking about how we have a lot of time. In some respects, I have a lot more time, and in some respects, I have a lot less time, because I have my family home all the time, and my daughter is here all the time. And, really all she wants is for me to see her and listen to her and be present with her. And how can I listen well to her and her needs and her wants and her desires? And, also I think about listening to my husband. We've had obviously a little bit of friction in our household, because we've taken all of our busyness and cooped it up in our household now. And when we stopped doing all of the millions of things, I literally moved my entire garden this weekend. But when we can stop doing all of the things, what we're left with is our deep, deep, deep desires as humans, our deep wants, our deep human needs. And, so how can I listen well to my husband and the needs of our families? How can we listen well to the great mama, to Mother Earth? I think that I'm going to cry thinking about it. There's so much devastation that we have caused because we don't feel like we have enough, we are enough, that we can do enough, and we have literally destroyed our earth. And she is speaking to us, and can we hear that? Our elders, they want our love and presence. Can we hear the wisdom that they hold? Ashley and I were talking yesterday about how there's a trend going around right now that's like asking the elders to sacrifice themselves for the younger generation. And I'm like, sacrifice our wisdom keepers? Are you kidding? Can we listen to our elders who have lived full lives and have so much wisdom from that experience? How can we listen better there? How can we listen to the lessons that life is asking us to learn? How it is that we can begin to listen to the love of our simple being, and how that directs us to move and to be, to just be, but then also how to be with each other. When we can relax the anxiousness of having to do something all the time and be something else in this life, we have this capacity to listen and move in a direction that might be unreasonable, in a moment. It might be, we might not have thought about it before, but it takes us into a place that is outside of ourselves and our own personal will and want that comes from a place of lack, and puts us in the seat of the whole, like Ashley just led us to, puts us in the truth that we are not only connected as a human family, but that we are inextricably woven into the whole. And what we do and how we act and what we choose, how we choose to engage, it matters. And we're seeing in a big way how our actions have maybe not been in alignment. And we're being asked to look at that and hold that and start to maybe figure out another way that's more in alignment with the fact that we are connected and that what we do has an effect on the whole. I mean, what we do, where we go right now, I mean, obviously it's heightened right now. If we go out and just decide to be like, oh, guess what? We have this time off with my family. I'm on vacation. In the community, where I live, there's a lot of people that are wanting to come on vacation. But the effect that has on the communities where we go and what we do, it has a huge impact that we might not be able to see outside of ourselves or outside of our families. We need to be able to look and listen right now outside of ourselves to the communities in which we belong, into this world in which we belong, and be able to listen ourselves into a new way of being with ourselves and with each other and on this earth. There's a poem I'd love to share with you guys, and I think it speaks really well to this, and it's written by David White. I don't know if you guys know him, but if you like words and poetry, he's an amazing poet, and he has this way of being able to touch on really beautiful, simple things in a very profound way. But this poem is called Just Beyond Yourself. And again, it's by David White. Just beyond yourself is where you need to be. Half a step into self-forgetting, and the rest restored by what you'll meet. There is a road always beckoning. You see the two sides of it closing together at that far horizon and deep in the foundations of your own heart at exactly the same time. That's how you know it's the road you have to follow. That's how you know it's where you have to go. That's how you know you have to go. That's how you know. Just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. Where you see the two sides of that road closing together at the far horizon and deep in the foundations of your own heart at exactly the same time. Just beyond yourself. It's where you need to be. So Ash, I don't know if you want to chime in at this stage in the game. I'm going to pass the torch back over to you.
Thank you, Meg. Kind of just, like we said, putting words to things. There's so many words being put to all the feelings, just really feeling each other in our hearts here right now. I think more words for me, it's just a reminder for myself and for all of us that you can just come to this place. This place is always here, always underlying. It's not like you have to have a certain space in your house, or you have to be in total solitude or quiet or whatever, this is the underlying essence of who we are, beyond this identification with our individual, what we do and who we are. It's really also such an American thing, not to be putting down America in the States. A lot of our Americans here and that culture. We can learn a lot even just outside of our American culture to see, as we just continue, this is such an invitation to keep continuing to be inquisitive and look into other ways of living, other ways of being that are more inclusive, more adherent to the earth. I live here in Costa Rica, and it's so beautiful. We just got a full notification yesterday about what the government is doing here to take really swift action to have put strong protections around the indigenous peoples of Costa Rica. And I just offer that as I mentioned earlier, there is this beyond the deep human longing to be good enough, which we already are, to belong, to feel safe and centered within ourselves. Beyond that, of course, there is this desire that arises for us to share, to offer. And one thing Meg and I have really just been talking about in this time is in what ways there's so much offering happening, and it's so beautiful in the world that is sharing our individual voices and sharing classes and things. It's so beautiful. There's no, I'm not saying not to do that, but looking beyond ourselves and opening and inquiring into ways that we can give that actually have nothing to do with us. or our voice or our kind of strengthening of our identity in individualism, ways of, and I have found some, and I'll be happy to share. I can put them in this, the comments here. I've been looking, and I brought it up on the call last week, but of nonprofit companies that are finding ways to give to our more vulnerable communities in this time. You know, we're all vulnerable in this time. And like all of us here on this call also live lives of great privilege, you know, and the devastation and the losses that are happening beyond our businesses and our economy and our income, you know, like Meg said so beautifully, it's this, you know, devastation that has been caused by aging the way we measure success by doing and by income and generating things. So just inviting that inquiry into what ways when this desire arises to do and to be and to share, there's a lot of noise and a lot of info coming in right now throughout the media, and probably even I've talked to a lot of people, like the social media is almost harder at this time right now. There's so much happening. It's like where so much of our energy to put out info is coming from. So just wanting to point out that we get to choose how we react to the input that's coming in. We get to choose how much we expose ourselves and in what way. And we get to choose what we do with this feeling of offering, of giving. You know, first, like we said, really anchoring inward to that stillness and that quiet space, recognizing that you are enough. And then inquiring into ways where we can offer in such a way that we acknowledge that this really has nothing to do with us. This isn't about us. It's about something so much bigger. Our world, our home, the people we're leaving behind, those who we're not listening to. And just inviting you to do what is right and feels resonant for you, and offering in that kind of way, in a new way, a different way, that is honoring the whole. You know, for us to be okay with a little or even a lot of self-sacrifice in order to lift up and support those who are struggling so much more than us. And I know that we want to take some time to chant together, pray together. And Meg, do we want to have any questions? A couple questions or anything before?
Yeah, I think so. I think that that's a great idea to, if you guys have any questions or comments that you want to type into the chat window, then we can address those now for sure.
I
So
see
feel free to.
here, which is beautiful. Sacrifice to make sacred.
Oh yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
So if anyone wants to share, there is a way to raise your hand over here in the little participants thing. You could click raise your hand.
There is? Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, there is. If you're in the little participants list, you can raise your hand. Or since not everyone's jumping to it, if you want to unmute yourself, you can unmute yourself and share.
Yeah, okay. Well, and it's okay too if nobody has anything that they want to.
I'm going to share the name of this. It's called Food Education Fund. in New York City,
Nice.
which is our help right now. And on Instagram, it's food education.
Let's see here. There we go. I've sat a sense of readiness has come over me and full acceptance of what's to come. Yeah, readiness. I wonder what you mean by readiness, Kelly. Is it like readiness for just the mystery, readiness for like the just, yeah, full acceptance, I guess, just readiness and full acceptance of what's to come. I know, I feel it too. I feel it too. I just feel really, really open. I feel, yeah, Sabrina, yeah, you're born for this moment. I do. I feel really open, yeah, to what is. I feel really humbled by the capacity to have this time for all of us to really, and we do have an opportunity, and we're kind of at a crossroads here, whether we take it or we don't, to get really present to the way that we have been living life and the ways in which those have been out of alignment, and not serving not only ourselves but the whole. And we have that opportunity right now to do that, and then and be ready for then whatever's coming. And then my like plea to everyone right now is, we don't have to pick it all back up, all of the old ways. Let's not, everybody can't wait to get back to business as usual. And I kind of feel like we have this amazing opportunity to not pick it all back up, to not pick up the scramble and the scurry. And even in this time, like Ashley's talking about, this sacred pause that we're being given. And I understand that some people, it's actually not a pause because they're having to shelter at home with children, or they're not in a safe space like Ashley's been speaking to and what have you. But we do have this chance to reimagine a whole new way. Megan says, I'm struggling with the desire to share my skills and knowledge. Oops, I just lost it. Where did it go?
My skills and knowledge mixed with the desire to go inward and be alone. And I think,
yeah. Ariel saying this too, with doing and being, social media being her job. I think that the thing is, you guys, too, is it's just like Ashley said, like, get back onto the steady ground within you. Take the time to relax the personal will and move into silence, and to discover and continue to strengthen your relationship with your true nature, and which is at one with everything. And then allow and listen well there. Open yourself to listen there, and then allow the steps and the actions that you take to come from that place of abundance and connection that recognizes that it's not just about you, that there's this greater schema around here. But, make sure that your choices are anchored there. As you move forward and as you go to offer and as you go to share. Notice if the choices are anchored in a place of lack or if they're anchored in a place of abundance. So take the time to really, to really dig into that, to really sit with yourself and to really listen. And notice if your choices are coming from a place of strengthening your ego, or strengthening everyone's connection to abundance. And so I think the silence can inform that. And like Ashley's beautiful meditation at the beginning, to just drop out of all of the busy and the doing that just kind of pastes together and boosts up our sense of personal worth, to like touch into the space that is worthy just being, and that it's fully at ease and connected, and then offer from that place. Don't offer from your frenzy. Offer from the place of connection, from abundance, and from love.
I also wanted to mention that I have a friend of mine who's a beautiful music producer, and he, for the last year, he did full 60 days alone by himself with no internet, no output, no input, all just him alone in silence and creating music. And he was talking about why he chose to do this. And he was like, I just really wanted to be clear that what I was offering was coming through me and was my authentic sharing, because I found myself like creating something in response to or in relation to something that someone else said, which is beautiful. Why we get to have interconnection and conversation. But I've been really sitting with that around, like, it's so easy to read something online or read something on the internet and get really like fired up and be like, oh, I want to share my voice about this and I can help all these people. And it can be really quick jump to like, no, I'm doing this to like help everyone, when I'm like, I'm really doing this to like say something and have my voice out there and make a point. Which is, there's nothing wrong with doing that too and sharing our voices, of course. But I think another piece, like Meg's saying, is like, notice if it's draining you. I mean, like, just on like a basic, simple scale, like, we're literally asked to like sit down and be at home right now. And if we're exhausted and running around still, like, what, and if this rush to try to create and offer something feels like that, feels like a rush, like there isn't right now, and like I'm feeling, everyone's feeling open, and I know we're feeling lots of things, but I'm feeling scared and I'm feeling sad. I'm feeling connected to people who are experiencing, are weeks ahead of where we are right now. And I think, this, like, and I don't mean to put down what anyone's feeling, I'm just trying to acknowledge mine too. I'm feeling this like kind of preemptive desire to be like, I'm fine, I'm ready, like, let's just like, I'm like, this is new world, it's like we're getting there, and all of that is true and real and beautiful, and like I want to and very much put energy into that. And like we are in very, very many ways in the very beginning stage of what is going to be a huge change in our world that we have no idea what it's going to be. We just don't. And it could be really hard for a long time. It might not be, I don't know, but it could be. And so again, this invitation to just get like this pull that we're feeling to like, do I go out or do I go in? Do I go out or do I go in? I think the answer kind of always to that is like, you go in. Because once you are in, you will know you will need to go out. When there is a longing to go in, like there's a longing to go in, and I think it would be remiss to say that like almost anyone right now is in the space of like, I've just been inward for so long doing nothing, I must go out, or and just to really sit with that on that deep level, to feel what it really, for those of us who do have businesses, and Meg and I talked a little bit about this too, that do have businesses that are still up and running, or have some semblance of being able to still be up and running. I'm watching so many of us, including ourselves, like grip like crazy, like, oh my God, I can't lose. I got to get my thing online and I got to do this. It's like, guys, the rest of the world is just stopped. Like, can we just effing stop for a second? I'm talking to myself right now. I live in Costa Rica in the jungle. I'm running around like a lunatic inside my house trying to like get all the things online. And it's just like, I'm fine. Like, we're really fine, and, talking about like, oh, my business, Mike, everyone's business is going spiraling and not knowing what's happening right now for the most part. Like, that's the part we're asked to be okay with right now. Do we get that? Like the part of losing our money and what we've created, the parts that aren't actually real or that we don't necessarily really, really need in some way, is falling away. And so if you are fortunate enough to be in a space that your whole job has not been ripped away from you, you can soften your grip, Ashley, Meg, all of us on this, like, but what if like my business goes down? Like, well, everyone is in that same place, So like those of us grabbing on, I think we can soften a little bit about that. It's tricky. I'm trying to read some of your things.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like do the things that bring us, like we're actually invited, like you don't actually in some ways have to work right now. Like it's a weird, interesting thing to say, but we're actually in that pause right now of like, yes, there are the things that we need to do to protect for our families and keep things up and running. And literally the whole world is at a pause of how that's going to happen. And like Crystal's saying there, it's kind of wonderful. There's a certain amount of, I wrote this, just a certain amount of peace and a certain amount of relief that like I'm feeling, but I'm watching my habitual self not listen to that peace. Like how good it felt to just go inside and feel right now, So that invitation of when you're being pulled outward to offer, let's see the ways that we can soften around how that is feeding into the more and more and more. And to really see, like, I'm trying to ask myself too, like, can I be okay with like, I have no money. I don't know when more money will come in. I have to be okay with that. Like, let's be okay with that. Like, it's not just you being asked to be okay with that. And all of us on this call are in a way better position at almost everybody, like almost like most, and I'm just claiming this because like the fact that we have the time to be here and be on a call, we've created this space means that we have certain base needs met for us, that this is able to be important.
We have internet, we have computers, we have food, we are doing, and I'm not trying to minimize anyone's pain, but I have seen, and I think a lot of us have seen true material poverty. And it's so interesting, those who are materially poor, I find them to be a lot of the times spiritually rich in some of the communities and cultures that I've gone to that literally have nothing. And you go to a place where they're not, they eat one meal a day and you're there, and what do they want to do? They want to feed you. Like, so things like generosity govern their world. Things like coming together because my family, myself doesn't have enough necessary to feed the kids, but if we come together as a community, we can all feed the kids and the kids can eat first, and we, like Ashley's saying, and I'm not trying again to minimize anything, but we're good. We are good, and we will be fine. And look at this community that we have. We have each other. We have all of this support. If any of you were to be like, Meg, I can't feed my kid tomorrow because my job, or myself tomorrow, Ashley and I would be the first ones to rally the support of this community, and you would have more food than you know what to do with. You'd be hosting a 6 feet apart dinner for your friends. But we have each other. Like, look at what we have. Look at all of this. I think that's the thing, is we have for so long been running around trying to get more and more and more, that we have not been responsible and generous with what it is that we do have. We have not been grateful for it. We have not looked at it. We have not looked enough and counted our blessings enough and let that be enough. Look at the abundance within and all around you. Just the fact that there's 52 of us sitting right here having this conversation, that's abundance, you guys. That's support, that's community, that's love, and that's enough. That's what this is about. And we are held by this earth, and we are held by each other. And it's that we're gonna be fine. I don't, none of us knows what fine looks like, but we're in this together, and we're gonna be okay, and we're gonna do this together. We just are, and this is gonna bring us together, in a whole new way. This is gonna bring us together. not in the way that we were together before and distracted every 4 seconds to look at our phones and to do the thing and to not really be present with people, to not really be listening, to be waiting for your turn to respond. Or this is opening us up to a whole new level of abundance and presence and love that we can't even imagine, and probably pain that we can't even imagine, but that's not even yours to hold on your own either. That's the thing. You know, and as Ashley speaks to her, that her uncertainty and the sadness and that sort of thing, she doesn't have to hold that alone. We all hold that with her, because that's, you know, we're all feeling that. She's naming something that we all feel. And so you don't even have to hold that by yourself. And your worries and your struggle and your doubts and your shames and your fears and all of that kind of stuff, that's what it is to be human. And we get to form a new way of presence with all that stuff, and how we can be, I don't know, how we can all hold that stuff in the light of love together, you know, and not just continue to run around like little bliss ninnies, just only wanting the good things and the more things that are going to bring us to a state of peace, you know. So
I saw Kelly mentioned, you know, she's like, I'm having fear around losing my job, losing my family, losing the world the way that it was, you know.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, I will post, I asked Michelle Craig to, and I don't know if she saw it, post our Facebook group here, so we can all continue our conversation there as well. And I will post this beautiful Ram Dass YouTube talk about loving awareness in the face of chaos. And, you know, really at the essence of our practice, to take it all the way there, is like, yeah, it's okay and it's real, and you don't have to hold it alone to have these fears. And what we are at our deepest essence is pure loving awareness.
mm-hmm.
And to feel into, if like you, we're getting into it here, but like, if you lose your job, you will be fine. Like, we will be fine. Like, at the end of all of this, and if all of us are no longer with our bodies anymore, we will all be fine. We are here bearing witness to God, to the universe, unfolding in a spectacular catastrophe of beauty and pain that has been unfolding for millennia. And we are here to bear witness to it in this new way right now. And we, like, when have you never not been fine? You know? We are super privileged to be able to really say that. And even those of us who I want to really honor, who have mentioned have lost their job right now, don't have work right now, don't know when it's coming back. We will be fine. We are more than fine. And so watching, I've been really trying to do this for myself, and those of us, there's a lot of us here who have been practicing together for years, 6-7 years together. I invite us to lift up those places where we're like, whoa, I'm running around like a lunatic right now, trying to grasp onto this thing for what am I afraid of? I'm afraid of not having money. I'm afraid of not having this house. I'm afraid of having to eat less. I'm afraid of how, like, what, you know, like, this is the real getting into our deep spiritual practice of truly trusting in the unfoldment of it all. This is santosha. Santosha is contentment, it's not like joy at what is happening necessarily, but is a deep, abiding contentment and appreciation and acceptance for what is, because of the knowing that we are complete and the universe is whole and perfect as it is. It's not easy stuff, but like, it's almost easier to tap into it in times like this, right? We keep it pretty cushy so we don't have to really face a lot of these things and deal with some of this. So just invite us into that, like Meg said, where we're bliss ninnying out, or where we're running around in a frenzy as a way to not have to deal with some sort of fear, to try and to stay in control. You know, like, guess what? You're not in fucking control. Sorry. Actually, the only control we have right now is to stay home and be quiet and be inside. That is the control that you have, you know? And so just on a practical note, to land that for a moment, because I know we want to be really mindful of everyone's time, and this is the time we decided to have an hour. We can happily continue the conversation over in our group, our Facebook thread, and we will have this tomorrow, next week as well. But just like one or two practical things Meg and I talked about before getting on the call is, Meg's like, I am 100% still keeping my weekends, like 100% weekend is like off the computer, off of work, not doing work stuff on the weekend. For Meg, that's the way it works for her. For me, I'm definitely having specific days that I'm totally off. And then really also coming up with, it's when it's really spacious and there's so much time, creating a calendar for yourself. Like I've actually like put into my calendar, like meditate at this time, have my, journaling at this time, and do my practice, I'm going to do computer work, and then I'm going to make sure I'm off my devices and like sticking to that. And then some days letting it be a little bit more fluid, because sometimes sticking too hard to a routine doesn't feel super great, because you want to have like fluidity. And so also arranging days where like you're kind of timeless, where you don't actually have to be worrying about any time of anything anywhere. Like we really have the ability to do that right now. Getting clear on when if you're going to check the news, maybe like, okay, I get I get a half hour for the news at this time, and that's it. I get an hour of this for this time, and getting off of it, as opposed to when our attention is being frayed and pulled in so many directions from all this input from social and scrolling, look at all these things, it completely messes with the serotonin in the brain. It completely messes with our sleep cycles, and it completely pulls us out of our capacity to actually be anchored in a state of peace. So literally our livelihood and our capacity to be healthy relies on the ability to shut it off. And not just for like an hour and a half hour, but like I invite everyone, like do a day of technology purge. Like take Saturday. Like I'm not even looking at my phone or my computer or anything. Like you have the people in your home. If you have the people in your home that you are with, create that space for yourself. Think of practical ways to have a whole day of just creating art, or a whole day of writing, or whatever. Like literally no electronics, no time. Just be in your home. So.
Or be outside. If you can.
Be outside if you can.
Get outside for a couple of breaths of fresh air. I mean,
your state is asking you not to be outside. Please don't be outside.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think everybody can open a window or open their front door, and it's not that you have to go anywhere. But not everybody. Look at the bigger world around you. Just get your perspective outside of yourself and look at the bigger world around you. So however that is, whether you have to look out of your, 20-story apartment window and open up the window to get well, that's the nice thing, is that breaths of fresh air are coming easier these days because there's not so much pollution around, so, but get outside of your, we're saying, go in and do that and find that steady ground within you. And get outside of yourself, because that as soon as you go in and in and in and in, it turns you to the everything anyway. But go outside. It can remind you in 1 second to be outside and catch a fresh breath of air, or look up at a star or the moon in the sky. I think it's new right now, but it's not rocket science to get outside of yourself. And I think that we can shut ourselves in so tight here and into our devices. And like Ashley's saying, get off your devices at some time. The world will go on if you don't post. Sorry to say that you're not that important. Like, I mean, I don't want to be a jerk about it, but none of us individually is that important. And the world will be fine. The sun will rise tomorrow. If no one sees my face or Ashley's face or anyone's posts or that kind of thing, we will all be fine. And you know, you do have a contribution to make for sure. Everybody does, otherwise you wouldn't be here. But it's not about you. And I think anybody that's ever lost anyone dear to them knows how crazy it is, how the world just goes on the next day without that person or without that being. And so we're just not that important. So put your self-importance to the side and get outside, look around, and take in the bigger view. It's really important that we do that right now. It's really important. We have become narcissistic in our ways, and I'm sorry to say that in a lot of ways we use our spiritual practices to become more narcissistic, to have it be more about me, and mine. So, you know, this is the challenge of our times, is to, you know, like, I think it was Emily that was saying, you know, sacrifice yourself. That's what it is. Sacrifice yourself on the altar of the sacred. And that's the whole. So we sacrifice ourselves, our limited small s selves, on the altar of the whole. And that's what's sacred. I know that we want to be really mindful of time, so maybe we'll just wrap it up. I wanted to do, maybe we'll have to, it's just coming through so strong. Maybe we'll just do like 9 rounds. I'm gonna copy this chant in here so you guys can all see it. And, you know, just take a moment to sit where you are. And you can chant along with us. Keep the mics off though, because I think that we get some weird feedback and some weird things happen. I wish we could all unmute and chant together here for a moment, but we're working on that so that we can in the future. But for right now, you can just chant in with me when you're ready. We'll just do a few short rounds, but first just allow your eyes to close if that's possible for you right now. Just feel the touch of air in your lungs as it comes and as it goes. As you inhale, feel the breath come in through the nose, down through the throat, and pull and spread through the heart, through the chest. And as you exhale from the chest, sense the breath, sense the life move from the heart through the throat, out through the nose. So as you inhale, just taking all of life into the vast and spaciousness of your unbound heart. And as you exhale, offer from that boundless place within you out to the whole. At the bottom of your exhale, for just a moment, allow everything to stand still and be quiet, be empty. Then allow life to fill you once again. And at the bottom of the exhale, be daring, be empty, be silent, be still, breathless. Just like that, a few more rounds. Allowing yourself to listen to that breathless place, the place of pause. Place of true emptiness without grasping, clinging, struggling, striving. It's from this place of emptiness and silence that the echo of the ancient mantra holds us and guides our voices. So I'll just begin to chant, and then whenever you feel ready, we'll just do 9 rounds. You can join in. Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya 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 Om Asatoma Satkamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Mrityoma Amritangamaya. May we be led from a place of darkness and ignorance, isolation and disconnection, to a remembrance of abundance of light, connection. May the empty silence hold and guide us all, and unite us all in unconditional love. Thank you all so much for joining in today. I hope you know how much I love you. Have a really beautiful day.
Love you all. We'll see you here next week, same time.
Okay.